that is the beauty of my job, and I'm excited about it, and we will get to it down in Maryvale soon enough. We got some World Baseball Classic rosters finalized, plenty of Brewer representation. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in this program, what to expect there. A couple of surprises, both inclusions and exclusions. Another thought, too, that the Brewers are, kind of the things you forgot, like as we are at the final week of the offseason, like the things that you forgot have happened to the Brewers and to the league at large. That'll be a segment later on here in the program. We've also got another projection I want to talk about from Fangraphs. I tweeted this week, but I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper to all of their projection models and found something pretty interesting down there on Fangraphs. We'll talk about that later. And we will talk about revenue and the offseason and what is this? The Brewers only spent like $1 million on free agency. What does this actually mean? And try to put it into English of why it's not as big of a deal as you may think. Now, let's start, though, with the news that started the week. And in case you missed it, in case you've been living under a rock, and you haven't heard by now, but let me reiterate that the Brewers are no longer going to be on FanDuel Sports Network. That was made official when the announcement came across the wire that 5 other teams actually decided to go to the MLB media model. What does that mean? If you have cable, the Brewers will still be on cable. It'll just be on a different channel under a different name. Now, there's carrier negotiations happening right now with Major League Baseball since so many teams just flooded the market. They're making sure that if they're on their current charter, whatever it is, Spectrum, Charter, DirecTV, if you had them last season, there's no reason to expect you not to have them this season. Okay, I think that's pretty safe to say right now. And also, if you're somebody who has YouTube TV and is suddenly hoping that the Brewers are going to get on YouTube TV, I wouldn't hold your breath. I don't think that's going to be a change that's coming for next year to add carriers with a new media rights deal on the horizon in 2 years. So first and foremost, if you have cable and you previously had the Brewers channel, with FanDuel, it just won't be FanDuel anymore. It'll be a new channel, and I imagine you will have it. If you don't have cable and you live within the Brewers television market, maybe you were direct-to-consumer and getting the FanDuel standalone subscription or latching it on to your Amazon Prime, perhaps. Well, those are going to change moving forward. Now you can just get it directly through Brewers.tv. Now, it's not officially available yet, but it has been announced, and it is information is being put up as we speak on Brewers.com. And once that date comes, we will share the word that the subscription is able to be purchased as a direct-to-consumer model. So if you live within the television market, which is the entire state of Wisconsin, parts of the western part of the UP, parts of eastern Minnesota, parts of northern Illinois, and all of Iowa, that is technically the Brewers television market. If you live anywhere in there and you don't have cable, the only way for you to watch the Brewers is to purchase Brewers.tv directly from the team. Now, what that also does is allows you to stream the games onto devices that you obviously weren't able to previously, including a much better mobile app experience. I have heard all the complaints, and quite frankly, since I'm no longer employed by FanDuel Sports Network, I can also agree with you. It sucked. It was the worst app ever made. I know, the same 3 commercials. It crashed in the 3rd inning. I know, it sucked. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Because as somebody who's been an MLB.tv subscriber since 2008, it is getting better and better and better every year. It is a phenomenal app. It is seamless. It is such a worthy investment. Now, that makes things easier if you're in the television market. That's your way to watch Brewers. What if you're outside of the television market? If you're listening on the podcast right now, if you're listening on YouTube in some other city, same thing. You can directly purchase Brewers.tv, right? Like if I live in Seattle, I'm not able to add Brewers.tv to my cable package, just like I couldn't add FanDuel to my cable package in Seattle. But now I can get a direct-to-consumer option as an out-of-market streamer. But what might do you better is just getting an MLB.tv subscription. So if you're out of market, I would recommend MLB.tv. And you can get Brewers in addition to that. It gets a little wonky if you only have MLB.tv when the Brewers are in your city, because then you would get blacked out. But if you have Brewers.tv in addition to MLB.tv, you're able to watch the Brewers broadcast, no problem. So that's something to keep in mind. I would recommend adding on MLB.tv, but if you just know, hey, I'm only going to watch the Brewers, I don't care about any other team, you don't have to have MLB.tv. It's a difference in price. It's not been made public what that difference in price is going to be, but you can choose to either just get the Brewers or get the Brewers plus MLB.tv. So it's a worthy investment. It'll be available both either monthly or annually. There's generally a student discount. T-Mobile generally offers a free MLB.tv subscription too, subject to blackout. So all that is to come with the landscape changing quickly. So that is how you can watch the Brewers. And if you're somebody that likes to sync up your radio, reminder, we have all 162 here on WTMJ. But the point being, one of the cool things about MLB.tv, and maybe my bosses don't want me to say this, but here's the truth. MLB.tv allows you to automatically sync the radio audio to the television product. It's 2 clicks. It's seamless. And quite frankly, I know on Apple TV games they give you that option as well. I don't even bother. I just turn on the radio, right? So on MLB.tv, you can have multiple choices for your audio, where you can be watching the Brewers telecast production, but listening to Jeff and Lane on the radio. You can make that, and it automatically syncs for you. You don't have to pause and wait. No, I think we're pitch ahead, and turning up and down the radio that. You don't have to worry about that. So that's a pretty nifty option right there. Keep that in mind as you start to think about what you want to do to watch the 2026 season. But remember, we're always here for you on 620 WTMJ all season long on the radio. Now, the follow-up question that always comes with we talk about television and that the Brewers going to MLB and leaving FanDuel, leaving a partner that would be, paying them in order to broadcast their games. Now it's the opposite. The Brewers are on the hook for the bill, but they get to reap the advertising rewards. What does this mean from a revenue and from a business of baseball perspective? We'll talk about what Rick Schlesinger said coming up on the other side of this break. 855-616-1620 is the phone number. 855-616-1620. The Siding Unlimited WTMJ talk and text line. One more time is 855-616-1620. And I see the YouTube live chat here as well on 620 WTMJ.
Back with more Brewers Weekly after this.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
3 generations ago, it was about doing one thing and doing it right.
Hardwood, tile, carpet, floors that had to last because our name, Adair, was on them. Over time, homeowners asked us to do more. Kitchens, bathrooms, full remodels. And so our name changed to Adair Floors and Remodeling.
But flooring has always been the foundation, literally.
And it's something the next generation already understands.
Hi, I'm Ava. Hi, I'm Quinn. My dad does floors.
From hardwood and luxury vinyl plank to tile and carpet, we handle selection, layout, and professional installation.
And because we also remodel homes, we know how flooring works with everything else. Transitions, finishes, and long-term durability.
When you hire Adair, you're getting experience you can stand on and people who will be here for decades to come.
Call my dad. Bye-bye.
Adair Floors and Remodeling. Built on flooring, trusted for remodels. 3 generations, 1 standard. Call us at 414-761-3660 for your free flooring estimate.
This is Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
There's some songs that just make you think, it's a baseball song. And Boys Are Back in Town is top of that list. Top of that list. Isaac Marquardt, our producer with the needle drop. I'm Dom Cotroneo. Welcome back here on our last off-season edition of Brewers Weekly. It'll be officially spring training the next time we are on a microphone with you, but we won't be on it next week. So we ended the first segment talking about the new television deal, of the actual mechanics of how fans can watch. But what are the mechanics of this deal in the eyes of the Brewers? Why did they leave FanDuel, and why are they now going to the MLB model, and what is this MLB model? You may have seen this happen the last couple of seasons where teams and their various regional sports networks who are simply dead. Like, regional sports network is done. It is not what we used to think it was, where a single entity is able to pay millions upon millions of dollars for the rights to broadcast, regional sports games, right? FanDuel and its parent company, which is Main Street Sports Group. Let's make this clear again, too, for anybody trying to figure out why. Wait, FanDuel's bankrupt? I thought it was a gambling app. No, FanDuel's not the one that's bankrupt. FanDuel is just the naming rights sponsor to Main Street Sports Group, which was previously Diamond Sports Holdings, which went bankrupt, which was Bally Sports, which then led to Main Street stepping in, which is also now bankrupt and threatening to have to go to Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Now, the reason why FanDuel / Main Street got put into this corner is that they were defaulting on multiple payments to teams, meaning they were missing, this is how the regional sports network works. I am Regional Sports Network DMC, my initials, right? I am Regional Sports Network DMC, and I want to pay the Brewers, $20 million, number out of thin air, to watch their games and to televise and broadcast. Now, the reason why the Brewers would let me do that is because the Brewers get money, and they don't got to worry about a lot. Now, they get a product that is already fleshed out. I worry about the crewing. I worry about the payment. But then I get to reap all the rewards of the advertising that comes from that. Okay, so I have a sales team that sells to the local breaks and the national breaks and then the in-game reads and all that stuff. That stuff is sold in tandem with the Brewers, but mostly by the network. But all of a sudden, that network is out of money. And multiple teams have dropped their regional sports network, being FanDuel. Other teams had dropped their regionals. Not all of them are FanDuel. Seattle just went to the MLB model. The Nationals finally left Masson, and that's been a mess of legal battles between the Orioles and the Nationals. I won't bore you with the details. And then obviously the most famous one is the made-up deal that the Dodgers have with Sportsnet LA, with Spectrum and Time Warner Cable paying $330+ million a year. Now, there are some details to that, and again, I won't bore you with the details of just that. They have a made-up deal that can't be replicated. The Brewers, it's not $20 million, but it's also not $330 million that they're losing on the table here from the Dodgers. The point being, the money that you would get from your television partner is a big part of your payroll and a big part of your picture. However, as President of Business Operations Rick Schlesinger points out, the Brewers were always planning on the worst and understanding that there was always going to be a chance that re-upping with FanDuel like they did last year could end up with this result.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not a secret that, the economics with MLB Media Brewers TV are probably less than what we were looking at FanDuel. But I will tell you, I don't anticipate, and I'm not worried about any impact on player payroll or other operations. The business of baseball has gotten really complicated. So we have, a lot of line items for revenue and maybe a few more for expenses. And when the numbers change, when revenue numbers in one bucket change either up or down, or expense bucket numbers change up or down, it's all part of a larger mix. We are not surprised. This is not coming as a surprise. Whenever we model these things out, we always have contingencies. And candidly, for local media, because of uncertainties and how quickly the universe is changing, you have contingencies for your revenue. So this is not a surprise to us. The economics are not a surprise. Matt Arnold has flexibility consistent with past years, Lance. If there's a deal to be made to add a player that makes us better, Mark's going to say, let's do it. I mean, we're in a very competitive cycle of this team, and I like our team. And if you look at it from an objective perspective, you're probably saying team's pretty well set, but things can change. So I don't anticipate, Lance, that this change in our broadcast situation is going to have a direct or even indirect effect on player payroll or anything that the fans care about.
So when it comes to player payroll and that sort of thing. What we've gathered and what I've sourced and put together is the fact that the Brewers have long told us the number that they've been getting from the regional sports partner has not been as big as you think it is. And it's not so much of a make or break type number like some other teams are dealing with right now, like Cincinnati or like St. Louis, where they had been getting such a large sum that it is sort of jaw-dropping to suddenly not receive that sum for the upcoming season. Now, that point being, the Brewers are very close to the vest about the actual number that they were receiving from FanDuel/Bally over the last few years. But I can promise you this, like through sourcing that I have, I can't confirm the firm number, but it's in the bottom 5 in baseball. So that's not a surprise. And you may be thinking, well, why can't they negotiate a bigger deal? Economics. You know, how many times have I said Economics 101 here on the show? Smallest media market. I know fans are sick of hearing that, but it's just the flat-out truth. If you own a business, if you understand some of these numbers and some of the things we're talking about and, you know, cost of acquisition and what you're able to do for this ballpark and what you're able to do in this market, you're hamstrung by the fact that it's the smallest population base in baseball. It's the truth. It's just hard numbers, and it sucks to say it out loud, and that'll change when Vegas comes into the fold, and they're a smaller media market technically than Milwaukee, so we don't have to have that title in a couple of seasons. But at the end of the day, what Rick is trying to make the point is switching to MLB does not impact their payroll. And in fact, the Brewers are going to roll in with virtually the same payroll as last year. A little bit more room to add something at the trade deadline like they did last year. But the other thing to remind people, as everyone likes to overreact at the, oh my gosh, the Brewers have only spent, you know, $1.25 million in free agency this offseason. I remind you, the Brewers won 97 games a year ago, and the team was pretty much virtually all coming back under cost-controlled deals, right? So you're in this perplexing moment where I thought Adam McCalvey wrote it well in his things to look out for spring training. It's like, well, they won 97 games, so they did something right, but then they got boat raced by the Dodgers in the NLCS. So it's like, well, which do you want? Do you overreact to the Dodgers and blow it all up, even though you have so many cost-controlled pieces already under team control, or do you double down and believe, you know what, we can make some marginal moves, maybe even get better down the road, not just beyond 2026? And that's what the Brewers ultimately did. And a reminder, too, the Brewers still have to pay raises in arbitration, right? There are guys departing like, you know, Freddie Peralta, and they obviously get the qualifying offer from Brandon Woodruff, which, again, I insist is not the reason the Brewers are stuck in not adding on free agency. But again, I remind you, I just look at this roster, I'm like, there aren't many improvements out there on the open market. When you look at the guys that are suddenly arbitration eligible, we talked about it a couple of episodes ago of the guys who were suddenly, you know, scheduled to make more money and did, and now they're still waiting on what's going to happen with William Contreras' hearing. We don't know a date yet if there's going to be a hearing between the Brewers and William Contreras on his arbitration deal. But you have Bryce Terang in his first year of arbitration. You have Jackson Churrio's contract slowly starting to get elevated from here on forward. You're still now adding Andrew Vaughn's arbitration into you. You've still got a first year of arbitration for Garrett Mitchell. Granted, it's barely above league minimum. Arbitration for Trevor McGill. Arbitration for even a guy like Angel Zerpa. So the point being is the Brewers are not just shedding payroll like crazy because of this television deal. The Brewers are holding the line, and then we'll see if anything changes in 27-28 when it comes to revenue sharing, media deals, that sort of thing, and then we can reconvene. But the Brewers right now, according to Fangraphs and Roster Resource, when I pull up their payroll page here, they're looking at about $126 million right now for the payroll, which is pretty much right on par with what they are at the start of each of the last few seasons in this competitive window. So I don't think there's anything to be surprised about right now. All right, let's talk a little World Baseball Classic, shall we? We got the rosters today, and quite a few Brewers will be participating in the tournament in March. 855-616-1620, 855-616-1620 on your home of the Brewers, 620 WTMJ.
Catch more Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi. Fleet Farm's Paws and Claws sale is here. Now through February 8th. Save on everything pet and wild bird at Fleet Farm. Find great deals on food, treats, and toys for your furry and feathered friends. And hey, the big game is right around the corner, and Fleet Farm is here to help you host a winning game day party. Score deals on snacks, furniture, and must-have cookware. DeWalt deals, those deal days are going on right now at Fleet Farm. Find exclusive savings on trusted power tool combos, accessories, storage, and more. Only in-store at Fleet Farm. The DeWalt deal days now through Sunday, only at Fleet Farm.
You know, Dad, there are a lot of things that make Marty's Pizza special.
Well, you got our untouched original recipe for our pizza sauce, and we have our own sausage made for us with our own recipe. We make everything fresh. Our own meatballs, our lasagna, our dough every day. We cut our vegetables fresh every day.
It's a labor of love.
This is Dick the Dad.
And James the Son from Marty's Pizza in Delafield.
Find out what keeps our loyal customers coming back for generations.
Right off I-94 and Highway 83 in Delafield.
Remember, Marty's Pizza.
Do you remember when times were good? Well, they're good again. It's as good today as it was in the past. It doesn't get any better than that.
Remember, Marty's Pizza.
Right off I-94 and Highway 83 in Delafield.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA and founder of the Neal Group and best-selling author on how to have less stress with the IRS. If 2025 didn't go exactly as planned, you're not alone. You made it through, and that's what counts. Now it's time for taxes, and for a lot of people, that's when the stress kicks in, especially if things got messy along the way. The good news, a rough year doesn't mean a ruined future. We helped Nate fix a tax mess with the IRS caused by one of those national firms and saved him $103,000 in penalties, plus another $152,000 in taxes because we know the tax law. Imagine walking into tax season with a clear plan and someone in your corner who knows the tax law and knows how to use it. You earned it. We help you keep it. Call us now at 414-325-2040 to arrange a meeting to see how we can help you. Don't wait. Call now. That's 414-325-2040 or visit nealgroup.net.
It's Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Text here from Chris in Pewaukee. Hi, Chris. Good to hear from you. Has anyone figured out the cheapest way to get Brewers TV and the MLB Network, which is not available on MLB TV? Update on that in a moment. I currently get them all. I get it all on Spectrum Cable, but I'm tired of paying an arm and a leg. So, Chris, what you can do is if you subscribe now to both the Brewers.TV and MLB.TV subscription, MLB Network is included in that MLB.TV full-scale subscription when you bundle it with your Brewers.TV. So that could help you cut the cord. Just saying. Look into it once it becomes available here later this month. We're talking a little World Baseball Classic, and it's here. It's going to be in the middle of March, and I'm fired up to see plenty of Brewers representation like it was the last time we saw the World Baseball Classic in 2023. But the host sites, here are the pool play sites. First, in the States, you'll have one in Miami, and you'll have one in Houston at Daikin Park. You have one in the Tokyo Dome, and then you have one in San Juan, Puerto Rico, who have been the subject of a lot of headlines. And we kind of warned you about this last week in the Taped Brewers Weekly, talking about all the insurance that goes into this. And then over the weekend, the breaking news about how difficult it has been for Puerto Rican players to get insurance policies. So no Francisco Lindor, no Javi Baez, no Carlos Correa on Team Puerto Rico, which is unfortunate given Puerto Rico gets to host pool play this year, which would have been awesome. But nonetheless, we will all have to say what if for this season and then see what it's going to be. Now, before I get to the Brewers pool, Brewers players in this, let me just give you the pools and who's playing what and what to expect. So the Puerto Rican host site in San Juan will feature Canada, Colombia, Cuba, Panama, and Puerto Rico. Now, in each pool, 2 teams move on. So there will be 8 teams remaining that go into the quarterfinals, and then semifinals, and then ultimately the final. So that's Pool A in Puerto Rico. In Houston, it is Team USA, Mexico, Italy, Great Britain, and Brazil. Pool C, which is the one in Tokyo. Team Japan, Samurai Japan, the defending champions. They've won the tournament 3 times. Korea, Czech Republic, Chinese Taipei, and Australia. And then Pool D, the one in Miami, is the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Israel, and the Netherlands. All right, so that's pretty exciting. How many of those teams and those countries are going to be represented with some Brewers players? Well, let's give you the list here. First, in that Pool A, Team Canada will feature Tyler Black and Rob Zastryzny. So congratulations to those guys, both on the 40-man roster. On Team Great Britain, a couple of minor leaguers from the Brewers side. You'll have Miles Langhorne and Jack Seppings, 2 right-handed pitchers that will represent Team GB in Houston in the World Baseball Classic. Team Italy, you do not have Sal Frelick. He is not on the roster, but you do have Andrew Fisher. So, first-round draft pick from a year ago out of Tennessee. We are finding out what he could have. Spaceballs, like his brothers, cousins, sisters, nephews from Naples, something like that. That's Spaceballs. All right, get it. Shout out to Mike Fasalo for inspiring that joke. So no Sal, but you do have Andrew Fisher on Team Italy. Team Mexico has Joey Ortiz on Team Mexico. He will be one of the infielders on that squad. And then finally, of course, the one that was announced earlier during the winter meetings is Bryce Terang will be represented on Team USA. And that's something that we haven't really talked about. We all talk about, what's going to happen up the middle with the Brewers position battles. Is Bryce going to slide over to shortstop and Jet Williams and Joey Ortiz? Well, as we know, only 2 teams can advance out of Pool B. And quite frankly, it should be Team USA and Team Mexico. So we're not going to see a lot of Joey Ortiz and Bryce Terang in spring training. We're going to see a lot of Jet Williams and whoever else is going to be playing second base and up the middle for the Brewers. So keep that in mind, that for everybody that wants to see the battles up the middle, we might not get to see a lot of those guys until the World Baseball Classic is over. Now, other teams that are represented by Brewers, Dominican Republic, congrats to Abner Uribe. He's been selected to the Team DR. First time he will participate in the World Baseball Classic. On Team Nicaragua, you have a couple of minor leaguers, Freddie Zamora, and then another minor league pitcher that was pointed out, Steven Cruz, is also on Team Nicaragua. And Carlos Rodriguez is also going to pitch once again for Team Nicaragua. He pitched for them in 2023's tournament too. And then finally, also there in Pool D, Team Venezuela, well represented by the Brewers. Jackson Churriel was already announced. Angel Zerpa, newly acquired from the Royals. And William Contreras, he is on the roster. There was fears that he maybe wouldn't be on the roster due to the finger surgery that he had here in this offseason, but he's already shared on social media that he's swinging, that he is catching again, he's on the velo machine, that he is working his way back to being ready, and now he's going to play for Team Venezuela. Now, mind you, the captain, Salvador Perez, is going to still be the catcher, I imagine, primarily for Team Venezuela, which maybe softens the availability for William and as he works his way back from the finger. But William gets to play with his brother Wilson. That's pretty cool. Wilson now on the Red Sox, so the Brewers will see the Red Sox in the first week of the season, the first road trip, but then they don't see each other the rest of the year. So that'll be fun for the brothers to be playing together once again. So once again, all in once, your list for Team USA, or rather for Team Brewers in the World Baseball Classic. Dominican Republic, Abner Uribe. Italy, Andrew Fisher. Mexico, Joey Ortiz. Nicaragua, Carlos Rodriguez, Steven Cruz, Freddie Zamora. USA, Bryce Terang. Canada, Rob Zastryzny and Tyler Black. Team Great Britain, Miles Langhorne and Jack Seppings. And Venezuela, Jackson Churriel, William Contreras, and Angel Zerpa. Cool? That'll be fun. Very excited. I believe games start, at least the ones that Brewers are involved in, will begin on the 5th or the 6th. I'm pulling up the schedule right now as we speak. Looking ahead. Yeah, pool play begins on the 5th in Japan, but then everybody else gets going on the 6th. And we will be watching it closely. It's available across Fox and on MLB.tv. You'll be able to watch it if you do get MLB.tv. Okay, let's look back on the rest of the offseason, like the things you forgot that everyone was up in arms about, and some of the things Little odds and ends segment coming up next, and then we'll talk some projections as the season is over. We got to look, or the off season is over. We got to look ahead to what the season's actually going to entail on 620 WTMJ.
More Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ. Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend.
Welcome to the fantastic voyage. Marcus Johnson, the captain of this vessel.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production.
My first mate, Chris Johnson, the only father and son tandem.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week on the pod, Marcus and Chris talk to comedian Charlie Behrens. Find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
Are you worried about running out of money in retirement? Wondering about how to pay less taxes? Join me, Tony Drake, for the Retirement Ready Show, live every Saturday at noon and Sunday at 7 a.m. on WTMJ 620 or 103.3 FM. We'll talk about smart strategies to help you retire with confidence. Don't miss it.
Drake & Associates LLC is an independent investment advisory firm that offers a variety of different investment vehicles. This commercial is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as individual investment advice. Drake & Associates LLC does not provide legal or tax advice. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.
February means big savings at Exterior Pros and Baths. Upgrade your home with energy-efficient windows, durable roofing, new siding, or a beautiful bath makeover and get $3,000 off your project. That's $3,000 in instant savings, but only for a limited time during our February winter savings event. Call 262-800-4274 or visit extpros.com now. Exterior Pros and Baths. Big savings done right.
MW Marine.
Anglers, looking to up your game on Lake Michigan? Join MW Marine in Hales Corners for a free fishing seminar this Saturday at 11 a.m. Meet Tyler Schrader, Ranger and Mercury Pro, as he gives an introduction to small boat Lake Michigan trolling. Perfect for weekend fishermen. No reservations needed, just show up. Plus, check out all the new boats on display. That's this Saturday at 11 a.m. at MW Marine in Hales Corners.
Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Welcome back. We're going to the top of the hour here on 620 WTMJ. So the Brewers made some headlines in the offseason. I know what you're thinking. What am I forgetting? Let me start with the first thing that people couldn't shut up about for like 2 weeks straight. And they'll be reminded once the season begins. Powder Blues. Powder Blues are back. And no, they're not wearing powder blue pants. So there's a couple of things to remind you on the jersey discourse. We talked about this when it was announced, but reiterate it here. The Brewers are wearing powder blue road jerseys. They are their road primary jersey now. So they've got the navies, they've got the powder blues for the road, but no powder blue pants. Maybe that comes down the road, but not for this season. The Brewers are in a new cycle of City Connect jerseys. And by all accounts, I have not seen the new City Connects, but from what we know, the Brew Crew powder blue is no more. There will be a new jersey design to go on top of it for the 2026 season. It's the Brewers' turn to unveil something new. You know, these things are in cycles, and now the Brewers are getting ready to unveil theirs. That could be the reason why they went to powder blue. So that's one of the things you forgot from this offseason. The other thing you forgot from this offseason is all the hitting coaches changes, and now they've announced the development staff as well, and some changes down there too with what's going on in the minor leagues. But Connor Dawson is gone. They've reworked the coaching staff. Now Jason Lane will be in the dugout. Third base coach will be Matty Erickson. Infield coach still, but now he's going to be coaching third. Jason Lane's going to be helping out as a bench coach. Ricky Weeks is moving into the front office. He's moving out of the dugout. New first base coach, Julio Bourbon, is moving down to the minor leagues to help out a player development side of things. The Brewers made a lot of changes to their staff, but the pitching core remains the same with Chris Hook and Jim Henderson. We talked to Jim on an interview last week. I encourage you to find that in your podcast feeds. Brewers All Access, wherever you get your podcasts. The other thing that we talk about, I remember just everyone overreacting to the Isaac Collins trade. Yeah, it stings to lose a player, you know, that you really admired and everybody enjoyed watching playing. What a story it was for Isaac Collins. Sometimes I'm guilty of this too, that you forget to look at the season as a whole of your own players. Like, you know what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and you know like how good or bad they're playing on a day-to-day basis, but you don't actually go to their baseball reference page and look at the numbers, like actually sit down and look. So when I sit down and look at Isaac Collins month by month and half by half, like he technically had a better second half, which is why I think a lot of people are kind of sad of like, well, why are you getting rid of him? You know, like he had more strikeouts in the first half than he did the second half in virtually the same number of plate appearances. I get that. But it's always the taste that leaves your mouth. It was really like a bell curve type season. The beginning started off slow, his first 2 months of the year, April and May, hitting right around 230, 240. He wasn't getting regular playing time, though, to be fair. Shoots off like a cannon in June and July, slowly starts to come back down to earth in August, and then September and into the playoffs, it wasn't pretty. He hit 191 in September. Now, granted, nobody really hit in the playoffs for the Brewers, but in his first postseason, he went hitless. He went 0 for 9 with a walk and 7 strikeouts. So something was up. That's unfortunate. And then for Nick Mears, and I said this at the time, and I'll say it again here, you'd rather be a year early than a year too late on a reliever, especially a leverage reliever. So they put him in the deal with Kansas City. And we'll talk about Kansas City and the AL Central here in a second, and the projections part up next. But it's just like, man, that was a trade that people could not believe the Brewers were doing. But I'm telling you right now, have you thought about that trade since it happened? I haven't. The other thing that I forgot about this team, and I was, looking at the roster and doing a little bit of prep work today, I'm like, Stuart Burrow is still on this 40-man roster. Stuart Burrow played in 2 games last year. He was a big part of the top 10 games of the 2025 season on the countdown list. Starting wins number 13 and number 14 in a row for the Brewers because of extenuating circumstances. That was the same week that Blake Perkins was on the bereavement list and Isaac Collins was on the paternity list. So the Brewers were short an outfielder, which is why Stuart Burrow, who had been claimed on waivers earlier in the year, was making those starts. But he's survived on the 40-man roster all offseason long, despite the Brewers adding more minor league deals and adding more non-roster invitees to their minor league signing. Like we've talked about Greg Jones before, other non-roster invitees that are in the outfield include, I'm pulling it up here on the release page, but you've also got Jacob Hurtubise is not a non-roster invitee, but he's suddenly been signed to a minor league deal. You've got Luis Lara, who's a top prospect as a non-roster invitee. You've got Burrow, you've got Baду, you've got Lockridge, you've got Black. They've got so many athlete types in their outfield right now. So that's just another guy that I forgot is still on the 40-man roster right now. And then finally, my last one that I wanted to point out is that Caleb Durbin was 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting. We talked about Isaac Collins all year. I thought Chad Patrick deserved to look at that too. But the fact of the matter is, Caleb Durbin got 3rd place in Rookie of the Year voting. That's a pretty high honor for him. Excited for that. I'm excited to see more Caleb Durbin understanding he belongs in the big leagues and getting more comfortable in the show. Let's talk projections. Let's get nerdy. Stay with me. It's going to really kind of try to, rack your brain for a second here. So let's go on over to Fangraphs, put our glasses on, and really focus up. It's time for Algebra 101 right here on 620 WTMJ.
Back with more Brewers Weekly after this.
Brewers mini ticket plans for the 2026 season are available now with 6-game, 12-game, and build your own plan options. You can pick or build the best plan for your schedule, whether you're gearing up for tailgates under the sun, the thrill of the home runs, or the eruptions of walk-off wins. Brewers mini plans have you covered for the 2026 season with specially discounted ticket rates and more exclusive perks in each plan. Check out all the mini plan options available for 2026 now at brewers.com/ticket plans.
Staying active, essential for overall health. Proper medical support, essential for staying active. WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Whether it's keeping a weekend warrior like me on the tennis court or keeping young athletes in the game, you want the best in sports medicine. That's OAW. Surgeons, nurses, and physical therapists help you recover from injury, avoid injury in the future, and enhance performance. Get care 7 days a week. Walk right in at an Ortho ASAP clinic or book an appointment online at orthowisconsin.com.
Struggling to provide for your family is a real thing, like having to choose between feeding them a warm meal or paying the utility bill. These are the choices many Milwaukee residents are faced with, which is why they turn to St. Vincent de Paul Society's meal program for help. Our meal program has been a consistent resource for those in need for over 42 years. Nutritious meals, warm showers, and clean clothes, all in a safe, family-friendly environment. Our mission is clear, and that's to help you break the cycle of poverty by connecting you with life-changing community and educational resources. Last year, we provided $2.2 million in goods and services, plus 57,000 warm meals. If you or anyone you know needs a warm evening meal, you can find us at Harambe Kitchen 5 nights a week on the northeast side of Milwaukee in the basement of All People's Church. And at Crossroads Kitchen on the south side of Milwaukee 6 nights a week on 9th and Madison. As always, we're grateful for community members and volunteers who help us help you. To learn more, visit svdpmilw.org.
Prizes, flyaways, even cash money. You want it? We've got it. Find a list of all contests and official rules by visiting WTMJ.com/contests. That's WTMJ.com/contests.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
This is Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
What does your computer say about my team? Does it like my team? Then I like your computer. Doesn't like my team? Then I don't like your computer. That's basically how we all react on social media whenever new projections come out. Now, PECOTA, Baseball Prospectus, that one comes out next week, I believe on the 10th. So we'll be able to overreact to that of how it feels about the Brewers. But that was the one that had the Brewers at under 500 last season, which was shocking. Fangraphs model came out this week, and it gets updated daily throughout the offseason if there's, subsequent moves. Like the Tigers took a big jump when they signed Framber Valdez. But on Fangraphs model, almost exactly the same as last year. It has the Cubs winning the division, 45% chance, the Brewers in second at 23%. But granted, it only gives the Cubs 86 wins and the Brewers 83 wins, which I think both of those numbers will be higher than that. It's generally on the safer side when it comes to win totals as opposed to trying to predict it. Now, granted, it has the Dodgers at 99 wins, so take that with a grain of salt. But that's just Fangraphs models. There's so many that you can use. Fangraphs WAR, the ATC model. You can have BAT-X, which brings in a little bit more StatCast data. And then the one that really jumped out at me is Oopsie. Yeah, silly name, OOPSY. Oopsie was unveiled last January, so we're only in the second year of this model. Eno Saris is a big part of this over at The Athletic, formerly of Fangraphs. If you listen to Rates and Barrels, I've been listening to Rates and Barrels for a long time. Heck, we've had DVR on the show. The point being is Oopsie seems to have been gaining steam, pun intended. Steamer's another one of the projections here, but it uses kind of everything together. It's trying to bring in StatCast data in addition to the basic stuff, brings in park factors, brings in minor league data. It's trying to be the best of both worlds for what's average. Okay, we're not trying to say like what's the top end, like Zips is. Fangraphs projection is based off Zips, and we've talked about Zips before. Oopsie's a little bit of everything. And the thing that jumped out to me about Oopsie, and it's weighted really heavily in the last 3 years, and it's weighted heavily on age. Meaning if you're younger than 29, Oopsie's really going to like you. And if your last 3 years have been really good, Oopsie's really going to like you too, with your most recent year being the most weighted. Oopsie's the only projection that actually has the Brewers winning the division. And I thought that was really interesting. Oopsie gives the Brewers 85 wins and the Cubs 84 wins. So only by a game. 38% chance to win the division versus 29% chance for the Cubs. Oopsie also likes the Pirates at 21%. They has them above 500. Point is, and I've said this little, funny little line before, but I'll say it again here in case you haven't heard it before. I love stats. You all know that. I think I understand it pretty well. There's always something to learn. I encourage you to go read all about this stuff on Fangraphs and Tom Tango and what they've been able to do over the years. But stats, forgive me, stats are like bikinis. They don't show you everything. It's the truth. You can't just, you can frame any, this happens every Hall of Fame too. Like, you can frame any stat you want. Like, this guy's a Hall of Famer. Look, he's ranked in the top 5. Look at the names about, like, well, okay, those are really arbitrary numbers. We can all jump into the computers and be like, oh, yeah, duh. Yeah, that makes sense. But I understand why the computers really have a hard time grading the Brewers, because they do the baseball-y things well, maybe not the quantitative stuff well, right? They don't hit the ball the hardest. They don't, throw the fastest. Granted, that could change this year. The point being is that there is a projection system out there that likes the Brewers. So when they say, oh, the projections don't like us, no. Oopsie does like the Brewers. Remember it. You heard it here first on February 5th, that when we're talking about this team again on September 5th, like, oh my gosh, they're in first place in the division again. No one saw this coming. No. Oopsie saw it coming. All right, let's wrap up the show again with a quick goodbye and what's to come down in spring training on 620 WTMJ.
Catch more Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. We've got so many fantastic things to do in our state. During the spring, during the summer, fall's beautiful, and right now near the end of winter, so many great places to check out. I hope you'll join me every Saturday at 1 o'clock for Experience Wisconsin. This week, we dive into some of those winter wonderland incredible destinations. We will check out Kenosha, and we'll also venture north to Rhinelander. It is Experience Wisconsin, Saturdays at 1, right here on 620 WTMJ. Let us help you plan your next trip.
It's been almost 70 years, and Marty's Pizza is still going strong in Delafield.
Hey, you keep the pizza tasty, and our loyal fans will keep on coming.
I think Marty's Pizza can hang right up there with anyone.
100% real mozzarella cheese, because we just can't skimp. The freshest veggies, and a sauce recipe that's Hall of Fame worthy.
And our crust? I never see anyone throwing our crust away.
Remember Marty's Pizza right off of I-94 and Highway 83 in Delafield, because it's delicious. James, we'll be running this place together for a while. And one day, hopefully, you and your kids will be doing the same.
That's the plan, Dad. And we're making changes so we stay ahead of the game.
Like the new Marty's Pizza Delafield.com?
We've made it extremely easy for both our young and older customers to make fast online orders.
It is really convenient, but if you like to call your orders in, a friendly Marty's Pizza employee will be there to answer with a smile.
Remember Marty's Pizza, right off of I-94 and Highway 83 in Delafield.
And at marty'spizzadelafield.com.
James Imaging Systems, your local document imaging partner. JamesImaging.com.
Recently, a seller that unfortunately ended up choosing another agent called me. She said she made a mistake, and what she was expressing to me sounded like she kind of was bullied into signing with him. Is it typical? Not always, but it will never happen when you hire a Century 21 Benefit Realty agent. I want our agents to be able to look in the mirror and say, I'd want to work with me. Not because they're good at saying what you want to hear or offer the lowest commission, but because of trust. Because if you're not feeling that from your agent, that's a problem. And I don't want that. At 1.9% on the listing side of your sale with our commission capped at $19,000, Century 21 Benefit Realty leads with a very fair and transparent commission structure with maximum marketing that can get your home sold fast and for the best price. And saving money matters, but working with someone who will tell you exactly what you need to know up front, that creates trust. And that matters too. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. It's Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Thanks for listening. As I'm up and out of time, Tom, I see your questions in the live chat. Sorry I couldn't get to you. But the biggest thing to get excited about is I will be at spring training. Again, I'm always happy to go back to my hometown and try to bring you the best coverage I can. I will be there the week of games. My first day in camp will be the 16th, and we will be bringing you daily coverage from Brewers camp daily, there, on the ground. Other radio stations in this market can't say that. Flagship Home can say that. Reminder, okay? Nowhere to go when you're trying to find your Brewers coverage as things are all up in flux right now. So we'll have a lot of coverage. There'll be plans unveiled of what to do, some podcast guests, some longer form, some social media stuff. And I'm really excited to get back down, and I think it's going to be a really fun year once again covering this squad. But we will talk to you for the next time, unless some crazy breaking news happens, in Phoenix. I can't wait. Thank you so much to Isaac Marquardt, our producer. I'm Dom Cotroneo. Until next time, keep on swinging.
Do you have a clear advertising message that assures your potential customers will choose your business over others when they need your goods or services?